The superstar diva, my wife, and her one that got away, were forcing me to sign the rights transfer agreement for the song Legendary. She claimed that a washed-up nobody like me singing it would be a waste, and I should just hand it over to the musical genius who had just returned from overseas as a stepping stone. She thought I would be like I had been for the past 3 years, obedient as a dog. I picked up the pen and sketched a vivid, lifelike snake on the signature line. Then, right in front of their faces, I tore the agreement into confetti. "Here," I said, throwing the paper scraps into their faces. "Take it back and burn it as an offering. Maybe the devil accepts this currency in hell." The pain of rebirth was splitting my skull. It felt like a 300-pound linebacker had taken a sledgehammer to my temples. I slowly opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was a designer crystal chandelier, the light stinging my retinas. My gaze drifted down to the Italian leather sofa I knew all too well, and the woman sitting across from me. The woman I once treated like a goddess, Victoria Vance. She was wearing a black haute couture evening gown today, her collarbone exquisite, her makeup flawless. Her beautiful, sharp eyes were staring coldly at me, filled with that habitual arrogance and impatience. Beside her sat a man in a white suit. His hair was slicked back with oil, and his face wore a smile that looked gentle but was actually the height of hypocrisy. Julian Thorne, the so-called returning musical genius, who is actually just a hack capable of nothing but pasting together other people's work. "Mason, stop playing dead." Victoria's voice was cold, like an ice cube dropped down a collar. "This is the copyright transfer for Legendary. Sign it." Julian just got back to the States. This song is vital for him. Whether he can gain a foothold in the industry depends on this debut. I shook my head, and the memories belonging to the original owner of this body flooded in like a tidal wave, instantly merging with my soul. I had been reborn. I was back on this alternate Earth where copyright laws were strict to the point of insanity. And the original host, a poor bastard with my name, Mason Cole, was a total simp. For Victoria, he had given up his own talent, willingly becoming the shadow behind her. He even took the blame for her scandals, accepting the labels of moocher and loser just to keep her image clean. And the result? His wife became a diva and immediately wanted to gift his life's work to her old flame, Julian, before kicking him to the curb. It was so pathetic it made my teeth ache. Ding. Detected that the water in the host's brain has finally drained. Uninstalling doormat system. Uninstallation successful. Installing global entertainment tycoon system, Troll Edition 2. 0. Installation complete. Newbie gift pack issued. Perfect vocal repair serum X1. Truth serum spray X1. Single use. Passive skill. Nobody can beat me in my BGM. A snarky mechanical voice suddenly rang in my mind. I raised an eyebrow. This system didn't sound very serious. "Mason, I'm talking to you." Victoria frowned deeper, seeing me space out. "Your lukewarm personality isn't fit for the stage. Even if you sang this, it would be a waste. As long as you sign, Julian promised that when he gets famous, you'll get your share of the royalties." Julian chimed in at the right moment, his tone dripping with artificial sweetener. "Yeah, Mason, I know this is your hard work, but I really need it more than you right now. We're all family here. No need to be so transactional, right? You want Victoria to be happy too, don't you?" "Family?" I almost laughed out loud. I sat up straight, picked up the expensive fountain pen on the coffee table, and twirled it between my fingers. Seeing this, the corners of Victoria's mouth lifted slightly, revealing a "I knew you'd obey" expression. "That's right, Mason." She softened her tone, like coaxing an obedient dog. "As long as you're good, our life can still." Scritch, scratch, scritch. My pen danced across the paper. On the signature line, I drew a flowing, artistic snake, a venomous viper with slit eyes and scales, drawn to perfection. Then, in front of both of them, I picked up the agreement. Riot. I tore it in half. Then again, into confetti. I took the pile of paper scraps and threw them directly into Julian's greasy, powdered face. "It's yours," I said indifferently. "Burr for fun. Maybe he'll accept this trash." The air instantly solidified. The smile on Julian's face froze, paper scraps hanging from his hair like he had just come from a funeral. Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief, and she stood up abruptly. "Mason, are you crazy? Do you know what you're doing?" "Of course I know." I leaned back on the sofa, crossing my legs. I casually picked up a teacup from the table, took a sip, and spat it back out in disgust. "Tea's cold, just like people's hearts, spoiled." "Mason, don't be ungrateful." Julian couldn't keep up the act anymore. He stood up with a dark face. Victoria is giving you a chance. Without her, who the hell are you, Mason Cole? Still pretending to be high and mighty. Chance? I sneered, my eyes sharp as knives. Julian, your voice was ruined years ago, wasn't it? Living entirely on auto-tune now. You want my song? Sure. Get on your knees and call me daddy, and I'll consider it. You. Julian's face flushed red, and he raised his hand to point at my nose. At that moment, I had a thought. System, use truth serum spray. Target, Julian. An invisible stream of air instantly hit Julian. His mouth, originally opening to curse, suddenly twitched uncontrollably, and he shouted loudly. That's right. My voice is trash. I just don't like your face. Why does a loser like you get to write such good songs? I want your songs, and I want your wife too. I've been lusting after Victoria for years. That woman has a killer body. Silence. Dead silence. Julian covered his mouth in horror, his eyes bulging like copper bells. He couldn't believe those words had just come out of his mouth. Victoria was completely stunned, her face pale, trembling as she pointed at Julian. Julian, what did you say? No. Victoria, let me explain. Julian tried desperately to backtrack, but his mouth had a mind of its own. Explain what? I just think you're stupid and easy to trick. Mason, this simp, worked like a horse for you, and you didn't want him, but you insist on throwing yourself at an empty shell like me. I didn't expect you to be such an easy lay. Ha ha. Shut up. Julian slapped himself frantically like a madman. I couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. This system was a keeper. I clapped my hands. Diva Vance, did you hear that? This is your big picture? This is your genius? Victoria was shaking with rage. She raised her hand and slapped Julian across the face, then turned to stare daggers at me, her eyes full of humiliation and anger. Mason, you did this on purpose. You did something to him, didn't you? What did I do? I spread my hands. I'm 6 feet away from him. Do I have superpowers? I didn't want to watch this farce anymore. I pulled the divorce papers I had prepared, actually just printed from the system space, out of my pocket and slammed them on the table. Sign it, Victoria. I stood up, my tone calm without a ripple. The house, the car, the savings, they're all yours. Our daughter, Lily, is mine. From now on, we go our separate ways. You're leaving with nothing? Victoria was stunned. She didn't expect Mason, who valued her more than his own life, to actually leave. Don't talk to me about feelings. It hurts my wallet. I turned and walked toward the second floor, to my daughter's room. By the way, I'm sick of this house anyway. It reeks of snakes and fake sweetener. Walking into the nursery, I moved as quietly as a thief. On the dreamy pink bed, a small figure was curled up under the quilt. Lily, for years old. She was probably the only comfort in the original host's miserable life. In the past life, because of the host's weakness and Victoria's neglect, Lily had a terrible time, becoming withdrawn and sensitive. In this life, Daddy is here. I gently patted the quilt. Lily, wake up. Daddy's taking you on an adventure. Lily rubbed her sleepy eyes and sat up. Her big eyes, which looked just like mine, were full of confusion, but the moment she saw me, they instantly lit up. Daddy, yeah, put on your clothes. I skillfully helped her into her jacket, grabbed her small backpack, and stuffed a few changes of clothes and her favorite bunny plushie inside. Where's Mommy? Lily asked softly, her eyes a little timid. Mommy is downstairs acting. We're not going to watch her act anymore. Daddy is taking you to live a good life. Lily seemed to understand something. She didn't cry or fuss. She just hugged my neck tightly, pressing her small face into the hollow of my shoulder, and said softly, as long as I'm with Daddy, I'll go anywhere. My heart felt a sudden impact. Damn, who could resist that? I held my daughter in one arm and carried the battered suitcase containing all my worldly possessions in the other, walking downstairs. In the living room, Victoria was still arguing with Julian. Julian was covering his face and explaining, but clearly making it worse. Seeing me come down, they both stopped. Mason, are you really leaving? Victoria bit her lip, her expression complex. You have no money. Where can you go with Lily? Sleep on the streets. You don't need to worry about that. I walked to the door and slipped on my signature flip-flops. Daddy, Lily in my arms, suddenly poked her head out, looked at Julian, then at Victoria, and said in her milky voice, that uncle's smile is so fake, just like the poop I made last time. Puffed. I almost couldn't hold it in. Julian's face turned green instantly. Victoria's expression looked like she had swallowed a fly. Good girl, telling the truth. I kissed Lily's cheek, pushed the door open, and walked into the night without looking back. Behind me, the mansion was brightly lit, but it had nothing to do with me anymore. Walking on the streets of Los Angeles late at night, with the cold wind blowing, I realized a serious problem. I really didn't have any money. The original host bank cards were all with Victoria, and I only had a few $100 in cash. System, is there any newbie funding support? I asked in my mind. This system does not provide sugar daddy services. Want money? Earn it yourself. Friendly reminder. The host's current reputation value is 0, and you are dirt poor. So much for an all-powerful system. With no other choice, I had to find a place to crash first. In this city where land was gold, a hotel was out of the question with a few $100. Finally, in an old neighborhood far from downtown, I found a basement motel room. The room was tiny, windowless, with a moldy single bed and a smell of dampness. Daddy, are we living here from now on? Lily blinked her big eyes, looking around curiously. My heart soured. I put her on the bed and said guiltily, Lily, we'll rough it for tonight. Daddy will go make money tomorrow, and we'll move to a big house. Lily shook her head, pulled a slightly squashed sausage from her backpack, and held it to my mouth. Daddy, eat. Lily isn't hungry. Looking at that sausage, this grown man's eyes almost turned red. Mason, oh Mason, you gave up such a good daughter for that woman. You really deserve to die. I took the sausage, broke it in half, and shared it with her. We need to be full to fight monsters, I said with a smile. That night, holding my daughter, I slept incredibly soundly on that moldy bed. Early the next morning, I was woken up by the system's notification tone. Newbie mission released. Return to the world. Mission details. Go to the Santa Monica Pier pedestrian zone to busk and collect 1,000 points of sadness value from passersby. Mission reward. 500 reputation points. Unlock classic song library LV1. Failure penalty. For the next 24 hours, every time the host speaks, it will automatically turn into barking. Me? What kind of broken system is this? Street Miracle, the most bustling pedestrian zone in Santa Monica. Crowds were surging, the noise chaotic. Carrying a battered wooden guitar picked up from a thrift store, holding Lily's hand, I found a relatively empty corner. My outfit was indeed shabby. Cargo shorts, flip-flops, a faded t-shirt, and a stubbly face. I looked like a total washed-up uncle. Lily was very well behaved, sitting on a small stool beside me, with the guitar case for money in front of her. Hugging her bunny, her big eyes darted around looking at passersby, like a delicate doll in a shop window. Daddy, go for it. She clenched her little fist to cheer me on. I took a deep breath, just about to strum the strings, when a harsh commotion came from nearby. Hey guys, today we're doing an outdoor stream here to see if we can find any weirdos. A female influencer with a chin sharp enough to stab someone to death walked over, holding a selfie stick. She was followed by 2 assistants, acting very arrogant. I recognized this woman. Plastic Patty. She specialized in chasing clout, judging ugly people, and mocking strangers for views. She had a few 100,000 followers. She saw me immediately, and the camera was shoved right into my face. Joe, guys, look, there's a homeless singer here. TSK. He's actually kind of handsome. Too bad he's a beggar. Plastic Patty screamed exaggeratedly. And he brought a kid out to beg? That is so low. Using a child for sympathy. The live stream chat instantly flooded. For real? People still busk these days? That kid is so pitiful. Definitely a scammer. Probably a trafficker. This guy looks familiar. Looks a bit like. Who is it? I frowned and reached out to block the lens. Don't film the child. Ouch. Got an attitude. Not only did Patty not back off, she got more excited. Look everyone. This beggar wants to hit me. I'll expose you, believe it? Lily was scared and shrank her neck, hiding behind me. A trace of coldness flashed in my eyes. But I held back. The most important thing now was to finish the mission and earn money to raise my daughter. Tangling with this trash was beneath me. I ignored her and lowered my head to tune the guitar. System, use perfect vocal repair serum. A cooling sensation instantly flowed through my throat. My vocal cords, originally hoarse and ruined from long-term smoking and drinking, instantly became incredibly clear, as if capable of mastering every timbre in the world. Ding! Host has equipped passive skill. Nobody can beat me in my BGM. Current atmosphere rendering, extreme depression. I strummed the strings. The moment the first note rang out, the noisy street seemed to have pressed a pause button. It wasn't a normal guitar sound. The sound seemed to carry a trembling sense of story. I closed my eyes, scenes from my past and present lives floating in my mind. The humility of a simp, the pain of betrayal, the helplessness of wandering the streets with my daughter. All emotions turned into song, pouring out. A man as excellent as me, should have had a brilliant life. How, after 20-some years, am I still drifting in the sea of people? This song, A Man Like Me, had never appeared in this world. But my voice, boosted by the system, deep, magnetic, carrying the vicissitudes of seeing through the world, instantly pierced everyone's eardrums. Plastic Patty, who was still chattering, opened her mouth and froze. The delivery guy passing by stopped his e-bike. The exhausted corporate drone, just off work, stopped in his tracks. Even the students laughing and joking with boba tea in their hands went quiet. A man as smart as me said goodbye to innocence long ago. How did I still use a heartfelt love to trade for a body full of scars? The lyrics were like a dull knife, cutting the heart of everyone present, slice by slice. Who hasn't been young? Who hasn't been hurt? Who didn't think they were special, only to end up as just another face in the crowd? Ding. Collected passerby, A's sadness value, plus 10, ding. Collected passerby, B's sadness value, plus 20, ding. Collected plastic Patty's regret value, plus 50. I opened my eyes and scanned the circle. The chat in Plastic Patty's live stream had gone crazy. Damn, these lyrics. Pierce my heart, bro. I want to ask too. How did I end up like this? Boo-hoo. Who is this guy? His singing makes me want to cry. Is this really a homeless singer? This level destroys those current pop stars. Plastic Patty lost her arrogance from before. Her eyes were actually red, and the hand holding the phone was trembling. She remembered how she got plastic surgery, acted like a clown, and got cursed at just to get famous, only to be called a joke. A generally inexplicable man like me. Will there be anyone to feel my pain? The last sentence fell, the lingering sound curling in the air. The scene was dead silent. 3 seconds later, the delivery guy who had stopped suddenly squatted on the ground and wailed. Immediately after, suppressed sobbing came from the crowd. Lily was a little overwhelmed and tugged at my pant leg. Daddy, why are they all crying? Did you sing too badly? I put away the guitar and patted her head. No, it's because Daddy sang too well. Clap, clap, clap. Not knowing who started it, scattered applause gradually turned into a thunderous roar. Plastic Patty wiped her tears, walked to the guitar case, and dumped all the cash in her bag, probably $1,000 or $2,000 into it. I'm sorry. Bro, you sang really well. She bowed. Immediately after, bills flew into the guitar case like snowflakes. Mission complete. Rewards issued. Congratulations, host, famous in one battle. Current internet heat is soaring. I looked at the overflowing guitar case, the corners of my mouth raising slightly. Victoria, Julian. My counterattack starts now. The counterattack begins. News in the internet age spreads faster than a virus. In less than 2 hours, the tags hashtag mysterious homeless dad sings cry passersby, hashtag and hashtag a man like me, hashtag rush to the tail, end of Twitter trending topics. In the video, I was wearing cargo shorts, looking weathered, singing A Man Like Me, with a cute and well-behaved Lily beside me. This strong contrast and the extremely depressing lyrics instantly detonated the netizens' emotions. Of course, there were also Julian's bots. At this moment, in a luxury apartment, Victoria was scrolling through her phone, flustered. Since Mason left yesterday, her heart felt inexplicably empty. Victoria, look at this. Julian handed over his phone with a dark face. Victoria glanced at the video, her pupils shrinking violently. The man singing on the street, that voice. He really went a busk. A wave of inexplicable bitterness and anger welled up in Victoria's heart. He'd rather embarrass himself on the street than bow his head to me. He's playing the victim. Julian gritted his teeth, deliberately taking the kid to that kind of place, just to gain sympathy and smear us. Look at the comments below. People have already recognized him as your ex-husband. Sure enough, discordant voices began to appear in the comment section. Isn't this Victoria Vance's moocher husband, Mason Cole? I knew he looked familiar. Must have run out of money after the divorce and came out to scam people. Wait, he wrote this song? Can a loser like him write this? Using a child, disgusting. Victoria looked at those comments and felt a little better. Yes, Mason must be putting on a show. With his spineless personality, how could he write such a profound song? What do we do? Victoria asked. Issue a statement. A trace of viciousness flashed in Julian's eyes. Say he was unstable during the marriage, prone to domestic violence, and is trying to steal custody. Anyway, his reputation in the circle is already trash. No one will believe him. In the basement, I was counting money with Lily. 1,000, 2,000. Wow, Daddy, we're rich. Lily's eyes smiled into crescents. A total of over $5,000. For us right now, it was a huge sum. Let's go. Daddy is taking you to eat something good. Like KFC. Yay. Just as we were about to leave, there was a knock on the battered door. I vigilantly shielded Lily behind me and opened the door. A woman stood outside, dressed in a tailored black business suit, hair draped over her shoulders, her temperament cold and noble. It was a domineering aura belonging to a superior, completely different from Victoria's celebrity halo. Elena Sterling, CEO of Sterling Entertainment, and the nemesis of Victoria's company. I was a little surprised. Ms. Sterling? You can find a dump like this. Elena didn't show disdain for the moldy smell. She walked in on her high heels, her gaze pausing on Lily for a few seconds, softening for a moment, then looked at me. A man like me, did you write it? She got straight to the point. If I said I plagiarized it, would you believe me? I smiled faintly. There is no copyright record for this song. I checked. Elena pulled out a contract. S-Class signing, 50-50 split, company resources prioritized. The only condition, I want you to defeat Victoria Vance and Julian Thorne. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. This woman was indeed decisive. But I, Mason Cole, was no longer the pushover I used to be. S-Class? Not enough. I shook my head and held up 3 fingers. First, I decide my working hours. I have to take care of my kid. Second, I won't attend any dinners or social events I don't like. Third, and most importantly, I pointed to Lily. The company must build a Disney-level playground for me, exclusively for my daughter to play in. The assistant behind Elena gasped. Is this hiring an artist or hiring an ancestor? Elena, however, didn't even frown. Deal. She held out her hand, a strange light flickering in her beautiful eyes. Welcome to Sterling Entertainment, Mr. Cole. Battle of Music. The next day, Sterling Entertainment Building. I held Lily's hand, wearing those familiar flip-flops, and swaggered into the spacious and bright lobby. The receptionist was about to stop us when she saw Elena Sterling personally coming down to welcome us, her jaw nearly hitting the floor. Who was that? Ms. Sterling is picking him up personally. Looks like that. Mason Cole. Oh my God, that moocher. Has Ms. Sterling lost her mind? Whispers surrounded us, but I turned a deaf ear. Enemies walk a narrow road. Just as we were about to enter the elevator, the revolving door turned, and a group of people walked in. Leading them was Julian, with Victoria beside him. Behind him followed a large group of reporters and bodyguards. Quite the spectacle. It seemed Julian was here to poach people from Sterling Entertainment, or just to show off. The two groups met in the center of the lobby. The air instantly became scorched. Yo, isn't this the great talent, Mason? Julian took off his sunglasses and called out exaggeratedly. What? Couldn't cut it busking on the street. So you came to beg for food from Ms. Sterling. The reporter's flashes went crazy instantly. Victoria saw me standing with Elena, and her face immediately turned ugly. Mason, what is this? Intentionally joining my rival company to spite me. This woman's brain wiring was truly unique. Ms. Vance, you think too highly of yourself. I said indifferently. I'm just here to make money to raise my daughter. As for spiting you, that's just a bonus. Make money? You. Julian sneered. Mason, other than a face that's passable, what do you have? Can you play instruments? Can you arrange music? I heard your song yesterday was just guitar and vocals. Couldn't afford a backing track. He pointed to an expensive Steinway piano in the corner of the lobby. Want me to teach you what music is? Julian walked to the piano, sat down, and pretentiously played a Chopin etude. Although the fingering was a bit stiff, it was intimidating enough for a layman. See that? This is the gap. Julian looked triumphant. I sighed. System, exchange for God-level instrument mastery. Ding. Deducted 300 reputation points. You have become the god of instruments. I let go of Lily's hand. I didn't walk toward the piano, but to a potted plant in the lobby, and plucked a leaf from a ficus tree. What are you doing? Eating leaves. Julian mocked. Everyone looked at me like I was an idiot. Only Elena crossed her arms, a playful smile on her lips. I placed a leaf against my lips. Breath flowed. The next second, a high-pitched, resonant, penetrating sound exploded in the lobby. It wasn't just blowing for fun. This was Flight of the Phoenix, using a leaf to produce the effect of a virtuoso piccolo or high-octave trumpet. The sound was like a phoenix crying out, rising and falling, the trills smooth to the extreme. That explosive wave of raw acoustic sound instantly drowned out the soft piano piece from earlier, rushing straight to the top of everyone's skull. Everyone was stunned. The reporters forgot to take pictures. Julian's smile froze on his face, and Victoria covered her mouth in disbelief. A leaf could produce the momentum of a symphony. The song ended. I tossed the leaf away, looked at the dumbfounded Julian, and said lightly, "Instruments? That stuff just requires hands. Does it need teaching?" At this moment, Lily had run up to Julian at some point and asked loudly and innocently, "Uncle, why is your face turning white and then red? Are you a chameleon?" Puffed. The whole room erupted in laughter. Julian's face turned utterly purple. The sound of loneliness. Sterling Entertainment moved fast. Since Julian was going to be a judge on the national variety show The Masked Singer, acting as both referee and player to promote his night contestant, I would go onto that stage and tear it down right in front of the whole country. Elena secured a spot for me as a replacement singer. Backstage at the studio, all singers had independent dressing rooms and were wrapped up tight. Some wore diamond-encrusted lion heads, others dressed as aliens, wishing they could write, "I'm rich" on their bodies. Only me. I looked at myself in the mirror. A mask, half-crying face, half-smiling face. Wearing a slightly cheap purple suit exchanged from the system store with discounted reputation points. It didn't fit quite right, looking a bit comical. Codename, Joker. "Daddy, you look like Ronald McDonald mutated." Lily sat on the makeup table, swinging her little legs, hitting the nail on the head. I twitched the corner of my mouth. "Sweetie, this is art." Ding. Detected host is about to take the stage. System mission. Obtain the highest number of votes in the debut and make Judge Julian feel physiological discomfort. Mission reward. Unlock God-level husky voice, advanced version. Reputation value 1,000. Physiological discomfort? I'm good at that. Out front, the host's passionate voice came. "Next, let's welcome this episode's replacement singer, Joker. He will bring us an original song." I took a deep breath and pushed open the door to the stage. The spotlight focused. When you put on a mask, you are no longer yourself, or rather, you can finally be your true self. At the judge's table, Julian had his legs crossed, looking indifferent. Next to him sat Victoria, also a special guest judge. Seeing my shabby outfit, Julian chuckled and said into the microphone, "This contestant's styling. Very circus style. Hope he can bring us some juggling-like surprises." The audience laughed. Victoria frowned slightly. She stared at the figure of the Joker. That casual stance, that lazy temperament, actually made her feel a strange familiarity. I ignored Julian's mockery and just gave the band leader an okay sign. "Since you guys like to pretend to be high class, I'll give you something different." The intro started not some magnificent symphony, but jazz drums with a strong rhythm, plus a bit of lazy guitar strumming. I gripped the microphone, my body swaying gently with the beat. Aside from the lights, what else can I see? Aside from the spotlight, what else can I demand? Aside from you, who else can I rely on? The mannequin. This song had never appeared in this world. That unique vocal run, that half-drunk, half-awake singing style, instantly grabbed everyone's ears. The audience, who had been whispering, slowly quieted down. Julian's smile retracted a bit, but he still curled his lip in disdain, whispering to another music critic next to him, "Amateur style, no technique, all emotion." I continued singing, my voice gradually rising, carrying a trace of cynical mockery. Wearing gorgeous clothes, standing for primitive desires, using perfect expressions, acting for a boring soundtrack. Wait, weren't these lyrics cursing this group of hypocritical showbiz mannequins? Victoria's face changed. She understood. The lyrics seemed to be mocking her wearing gorgeous gowns, playing the perfect diva in this Vanity Fair, yet losing the most primitive happiness. The song ended. Thunderous applause filled the venue. This style was too fresh, too catchy. It was time for the critique. Julian picked up the microphone, cleared his throat, his eyes carrying a trace of malice. "This song, how should I put it? The melody is okay, but the singing style is too cheesy, and the lyrics are full of street vibes, lacking that high-class feel. I think this Joker contestant should listen to more classical music and wash his ears." The audience booed. Everyone thought it was good, but you insist it's bad? I picked up the microphone, my voice sounding strange through the voice changer. "High-class feel? Is it like Judge Thorne patching together other people's songs, adding a few French words, and calling it high class?" "You?" Julian's expression shifted. "What do you mean?" "Nothing." I spread my hands. "Just feel that music is for the living to listen to, not for pretentious people to worship." "Good." Someone shouted from the audience, followed by a wave of cheers. Julian was so angry, he almost smashed a water glass in front of him. The voting results came out. Joker crushed the other contestants in the group with an absolute advantage and advanced directly. Julian looked at the vote count on the big screen. his face looking as sick as if he'd swallowed a fly. Ding. Mission complete. Congratulations, host. Successfully made Julian feel physiological nausea. Peak of hysteria after the first victory. The whole internet was guessing who Joker was. Some said it was a retired god. Others said it was a newly debuted eccentric genius. Only Lily was in the nanny van, hugging my arm and giggling. Daddy is so amazing. That bad uncle's face was twisted with anger. The second round of the competition arrived quickly. This time, Julian got smart. Using his privilege as a judge, he rigged the operation and assigned Joker a theme recognized as the most difficult: loneliness. On this stage full of restlessness and noise, singing about loneliness easily led to a cold reception. Either too melodramatic or too dull. I don't believe you can pull a rabbit out of the hat this time. In the corridor of the dressing rooms, as I passed Julian, I heard him whisper viciously. I stopped and looked at him through the mask. Great genius, Thorne. Do you know how many levels of loneliness there are? Julian paused. The highest level of loneliness isn't eating alone or going to the doctor alone. I leaned close to his ear. It's being like you, surrounded by people flattering you, but not a single one respects you. After speaking, I left a bewildered Julian and walked toward the stage. This time, the stage lights were very dim. No backup dancers, no flashy lighting effects. Only a pale spotlight hit the center of the stage. I sat on a high stool, holding a glass of bourbon exchanged from system props, actually just water, but smelled incredibly fragrant. System, activate God-level husky voice, load emotional rendering module. The intro was a deep cello, weeping and complaining. I raised the glass, my voice hoarse and low, as if squeezed out of my chest. When you walk into this playground of joy, carrying all your dreams and thoughts, faces of all colors, makeup of all colors, no one remembers your appearance. As the first line came out, the air pressure in the venue seemed to drop instantly. Victoria sat at the judge's table, her heart trembling violently. These lyrics, why did every sentence feel like it was stabbing her heart? She climbed desperately to get into this entertainment industry playground, wearing the most exquisite makeup, but was she happy? 3 rounds of wine, and you're in the corner, stubbornly singing a bitter song, listening to it being drowned in the noise. You pick up your glass and say to yourself. I stood up from the stool, raised the glass to the void, my voice gradually rising but carrying endless sorrow. A toast to the sunrise, a toast to the moonlight, awakening my longing, gentle on the cold window. A toast to my hometown, a toast to the distance, guarding my kindness, urging my growth. A toast to tomorrow, a toast to the past. A toast to freedom, a toast to death. 8 toasts finished. I seemed to have exhausted all my strength, sat back on the stool, and lowered my head. The music stopped. More than 1,000 spectators in the audience. Not a single one spoke. That immense sense of loneliness spread along the singing voice into everyone's marrow. People were wiping tears. People were staring blankly. Just then, a suppressed sob came from the judge's table. The camera turned. It was Victoria. This diva known for being aloof was currently streaming tears, her makeup a bit ruined. The host hurriedly handed over a tissue. Ms. Vance, you are. Victoria choked up, looking at the lonely figure on the stage, her voice trembling. This voice reminded me of an old friend. The loneliness in this song hurts too much. I seem to have never truly understood that old friend. Julian's face was iron blue. He originally wanted to criticize this song as negative and escapist, but seeing the reaction of the entire audience, and even Victoria crying like this, he knew that if he dared to say a bad word now, he would be drowned by the audience's spit. Ahem. Julian forcibly tried to salvage the situation, although a bit decadent, but quite heartfelt, I guess. The comments section had long since exploded. Godly song. Absolutely a godly song. This is exactly what music is. Julian, you know nothing. These 8 toasts made my scalp numb. Victoria crying like this. Is she thinking of her ex-husband? Backstage, I took off the mask to breathe. System notifications spammed like crazy. Collected Victoria's regret value, plus 1,000. Collected audience's resonance value, plus 5,000. Host reputation value soaring, current level, junior superstar. The truth comes out semifinals. Julian was anxious, because the knight he was pushing, actually just a viral singer who only knew how to hit high notes, had been left 10 streets behind by Joker in popularity. If Joker made it to the finals, where would he put his face? So, the dirtiest tactics arrived. While I was waiting to go on, the system suddenly issued an alarm. Ding. detected that the drummer and keyboardist for the host performance have been bought off. They will deliberately mess up the rhythm during the chorus to cause a performance accident. I sneered. Playing dirty? Huh? System, any way to counter? Suggest host use privilege. Since the band isn't reliable, then don't use the band. It was my turn. For this round, I had originally prepared a song with a gorgeous arrangement. But now, I walked onto the stage and walked straight to the conductor. I reached out and pressed down his baton. I don't need this accompaniment anymore. The crowd went into an uproar. The band members looked at each other, and the bribed drummer looked guilty. Julian sat up straight at the judge's table, a trace of secret joy flashing in his eyes. What? Getting stage fright before starting? Or do you simply not know how to coordinate with a band? I picked up the microphone and said to the entire audience, the moonlight is beautiful tonight. I feel noisy instruments in the mood. So, for this song, I'll sing a cappella, in a live broadcast watched by tens of millions, without any accompaniment. This was a suicidal act. The slightest flaw would be infinitely magnified. Victoria looked at me worriedly, her hand unconsciously clutching her dress. Julian sneered. Grandstanding. I closed my eyes, adjusting my breathing. This song didn't need accompaniment, because it was the sound of time itself. Remember back in the day, everyone was sincere, meaning every word they said. No intro, straight into singing. The voice was clean, pure, warm, like an old man by the fire, slowly telling a story of the past. No need for auto-tune, no need for reverb. Every enunciation, every breath was terribly precise, stable as a CD. Early mornings at the train station, the long street dark, no pedestrians, the soy milk shop steaming hot. Julian, who was waiting to see a joke, had his smile gradually freeze. He found that without the interference of the band, my voice stood out even more. That granularity, that narrative sense, was simply a textbook performance. Back in the day, cars, horses, mail were all slow. A lifetime was only enough to love one person. As soon as this lyric came out, Victoria looked as if she had been struck by lightning. A lifetime only enough to love one person. She remembered the past, Mason riding a bicycle carrying her through the streets and alleys. Back then, they had no money, but they were happy. Mason said he would love her forever, and she believed him. But later, cars got faster, horses got faster, mail got faster. Human hearts changed too. She got lost in the Vanity Fair, disliking Mason for moving too slowly. Now hearing this song, she realized that the slow Mason was actually the most precious thing in her life. On stage, I sang the last note. The whole audience stood up. No screaming, only thunderous, enduring applause. I looked at Julian, whose face was ashen, and said lightly, some things don't need gorgeous packaging. Just like sincerity doesn't need decoration. Don't you think so, Judge Thorne? Snap. The pen in Julian's hand was snapped in half by him, reckoning time eve of the finals. The whole internet was looking forward to the ultimate showdown between Joker and Knight. But just then, explosive news came out. Julian would debut a new song he had painstakingly created over 3 years in the opening show of the finals, Fleeing Time. Hearing this song title, my hand paused while braiding Lily's hair. Fleeing Time. That was the wedding anniversary gift the original host wrote for Victoria in his past life, kept locked in the safe, never published. It seemed Julian was desperate, prying open the safe directly to claim this song as his own. Daddy, what's wrong? You pull my hair. Lily pouted, aggrieved. Sorry, baby. My eyes were cold. Daddy just found out a thief entered our house. Should we call the police? No need. A cruel smile curved my lips. Daddy will catch the thief personally. Night of the finals. The stadium, capable of holding 50,000 people, was packed. Julian, dressed in a white suit, appeared like Prince Charming. This song, Fleeing Time, is a work I've settled on for 3 years, dedicated to everyone who has loved. Julian was affectionate, his gaze specifically cast toward Victoria. The intro played. It was indeed that beautiful melody. But as soon as Julian opened his mouth, I laughed. This song's original key was very high, and the emotion delicate. Julian's voice, hollowed out by booze and vice, sounded like sawing wood even though it was processed by $1 million real-time tuner. Especially the high notes. He was obviously dodging, switching to falsetto, weak as hell. Although the melody was good, the audience wasn't stupid. The song is good, but the singing, why does it smell so greasy? Feels like a kid wearing adult clothes. Can't fill them out. This is the genius, Julian? Just this. Julian finished singing, sweating profusely, and bowed, feeling good about himself. Next, it was Joker's turn. This was also the unmasking moment the whole audience was most looking forward to. I changed into a black tuxedo, still wearing that crying, smiling mask. The host asked, "Mr. Joker, I heard you changed your song last minute. Is it to respond to Judge Thorne's new work?" I took the microphone, my voice deep. "Yes. Since someone likes to act, I'll act enough for him. This song is called Hysteria." The lights instantly became manic, purple beams dancing wildly on the stage. The eerie intro sounded, carrying a hysterical suppression. I lower my head, muttering like a madman. Someone asks me, I will speak, but no one comes. I expect to helplessness. I have things to say, but cannot get them loaded. The voice got louder, emotions getting more out of control. I pointed at Julian on the judge's table, pointed at that hypocritical entertainment circle, accusing like a madman. My mood is like a bottle cap waiting to be popped, but my mouth is growing moss. In the crowd, the quieter I am, the more I become ignored. I have to cause an accident. Wasn't this the original host's life? Writing songs quietly, no one cared. Must I cause an accident? Must I become exaggerated? For you to look at me once? The climax arrived. I yanked off my tie and let out a heart-wrenching scream into the microphone. You treat me as hysterical. Exaggerated only because I am afraid. If I were like wood, like stone, would I get attention? That explosive high note directly lifted the roof of the stadium. Julian turned pale in the audience, trembling all over. This oppression, this aura that seemed to devour everything, made him feel fear. Actually afraid of being forgotten, so I enlarge it to act. Very uneasy. How to be elegant. Does the world still praise silence? Not explosive enough. The last sentence I screamed out with all my strength, that long note holding for a full 10 seconds, until everyone's goosebumps fell to the floor. The music stopped abruptly. I stood in the center of the stage, gasping for air, my chest heaving violently. The whole place suffocated. What was this? This was art. This was venting. This was a roar from the depths of the soul. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off. The audience erupted with shouts like a tsunami. I slowly raised my hand, reaching behind my ear. Julian stared dead at me, an extremely ominous premonition welling up in his heart. Victoria stood up, her fingernails digging into her flesh. That figure, that voice. Please don't let it be him. Please don't. The mask slid off. A slightly haggard, but still handsome and resolute face appeared on the big screen. At that moment, time seemed to stand still. Mason, Julian screamed, falling back into his chair as if he'd seen a ghost. The water bottle in Victoria's hand dropped with a smack, water splashing her dress, but she didn't notice at all. It was really him. The Mason she despised as having no future, who only knew how to cook and take care of the kid. The Mason the whole internet cursed as a loser. He was actually the Joker King who sang the whole internet to tears. Holding the mask, my gaze crossed the crowd, landing precisely on that pair of adulterers. The corners of my mouth curved into a sarcastic arc. So, ex-wife, great genius Thorne. This hysteria, dedicated to you legends, do you like it? Justice descends, the scene exploded. The livestream server crashed. Hashtag Joker is Mason hashtag. Hashtag Mason hysteria hashtag. Hashtag Julian song theft suspicion hashtag. These 3 tags instantly detonated the servers. The host was so excited he couldn't hold a microphone steady. Mr. Cole, are you really Mason Cole? Genuine article. I tossed the mask aside calmly. What, don't look like it? Do you guys not recognize me without an apron and spatula? This sentence slapped Victoria's face like a palm. She remembered before. Every time Mason wanted her to listen to a new song, she always said, "I'm busy, go mop the floor," or "Stop messing with useless stuff. People like Julian have talent." Turns out, the most talented person was right beside her all along, and she pushed him away with her own hands. Julian had already panicked. He forced himself to stand up calmly. "Mason, so what if you're the Joker? Does this cover up the fact that you plagiarized and mooched before? Also, that hysteria, just now, who knows if you hired a ghostwriter?" Ghostwriter? I laughed, pulling a voice recorder out of my pocket, actually a system restoration of the scene. "Julian, that song Fleeing Time you just sang, did the last chorus feel a bit awkward?" Julian froze. How did you know?" "Because that was a draft." I looked at him coldly. "I wrote that song 3 years ago. I felt the last part wasn't good enough, hadn't had time to fix it, and locked it in the safe. I didn't expect you to sing it without even changing it." The audience was in an uproar. "You're lying. I wrote this." Julian was hysterical. Really? I pressed step by step. Then tell me, in the third measure of that song, why use that diminished seventh chord? What was its creative motive? Julian was tongue-tied, sweating bullets. How would he know the motive? He just copied it from sheet music. Can't answer. I turned to face the audience and said loudly, because that song was written for my daughter Lily. She was just born that year. I wanted to tell her that as time flies, Daddy will always be with her. But in your mouth, it turned into a tacky love song for a mistress. You ruined my song, and you ruined the word music. The big screen timely released a photo. In the photo was the original handwritten manuscript of Fleeing Time, dated 3 years ago, with a tiny red footprint stamped in the lower right corner. Sue Lily's newborn footprint. Ironclad proof. Julian, get off the stage. Thief. Shameless. Mason is the GOAT. We owe you an apology. The audience was angry. Countless glow sticks smashing toward the judge's table like rain. Julian scrambled away holding his head, looking pathetic as a stray dog. Victoria stared blankly at the manuscript on the screen. That was her in Mason's home. Only she and Mason knew the safe code. How did Julian get it? It could only be that she allowed it, or she inadvertently revealed it. She was an accomplice. She looked at the radiant man on stage, feeling for the first time what it meant to be out of her league. I didn't look at them again, picking up Lily, who rushed up from backstage. Daddy, you're the best. Lily kissed my cheek hard. I faced the camera, faced the whole world, and flashed a brilliant smile. I'm Mason Cole, I'm back. Harder and softer ice. Although I slaughtered on The Masked Singer, and my identity exposure brought unprecedented heat, the capital power of the entertainment industry was far more stubborn than I imagined. Sterling Entertainment, CEO office. Elena looked at the report in her hand, her brows locked tight. Mason, the situation isn't optimistic. Although you personally are famous, the capital behind Julian has joined forces with several major record labels to initiate a soft ban on us. Soft ban. I leaned on the sofa, peeling an orange for Lily. Simply put, no one dares to ask you for songs. Elena Sigid. They put the word out that anyone who dares to sing your songs is going against Julian's Starlight Entertainment. Even some artists within our own company are starting to waver, afraid of being implicated. I stuffed an orange slice into my mouth. Sweet, really sweet. So, you mean I have goods but can't sell them? That's about it. They want to trap you on an island. Elena rubbed her temples. Unless you sing them yourself. But you're just one man. How many nails can you hit? An entertainment company's foundation relies on a library of hits and a constellation of stars. I laughed, laughing somewhat arrogantly. Elena, do you know what is the most abundant thing in this world? Elena Pud. What? People who want to be famous. I stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the bustling street below. Since those so-called big shots don't dare to sing my songs, then I'll create a few big shots to show them. You want to promote rookies? But current trainees are monopolized by major companies. Who said I want trainees? I pointed to the security booth at the company entrance outside the window. I'll use the people right there. Elena followed my finger and saw only an old man in a security uniform bragging to a delivery guy. Old Joe. Elena's eyes widened. Mason, are you crazy? Old Joe is 58. He's tone deaf and speaks with a lisp. So what if he's 58? If Michael Jackson were alive, he'd be that age too. I clapped my hands. System, exchange a brainwashing viral song for me. The kind that makes you want to vomit after one listen, get stuck in your head after 2, and if you don't tap your foot after 3, you're legally disabled. Ding. Meeting host requirement. Redeeming song. The Mountain Patrol. Bonus item. Demonic dance step guide. 10 minutes later, a bewildered old Joe was dragged by me into the top-tier recording studio. Mr. Cole, I can't do it. I'm just a gatekeeper. I only know how to shout. Who goes there? Old Joe was so nervous the thermos in his hand was shaking. Joe, be confident. I'll put headphones on him. Just treat the microphone like a walkie-talkie. Bring out that vibe of catching a thief. Read after me. The king sent me to patrol the jungle. The king sent me to patrol the jungle. Old Joe had a thick accent. Yes, that's the flavor. I slapped my thigh. We want that earthy taste. Elena stood outside the control room, watching the chaotic scene inside, doubting her decision to sign Mason for a high salary for the first time. However, 3 days later, a music video titled The Mountain Patrol appeared out of nowhere. In the video, Old Joe wore a security uniform and sunglasses, followed by a group of security brothers also in uniform, dancing extremely demonic and uncoordinated steps. The king sent me to patrol the jungle. I'll take a spin around the mortal world, beat my drum, and strike my gong. Life is full of rhythm. This song was like a virus, sweeping the entire internet overnight through short video platforms. Kindergartens used it for exercises. Barbershops played it. Even when Julian attended events, the mall broadcast suddenly switched songs playing the Mountain Patrol. Old Joe was famous, messily famous. His lisping voice was called the most soulful fireworks of life by netizens. Julian smashed the third vase at home. His crap can get famous too? Are the audience's ears blind? I looked at the K-line chart of the company's stock price rising and raised an eyebrow at Elena. See that? Whoever Mason Cole wants to promote becomes a star. Even a dog, I can get it onto the Grammys. Combustible. Old Joe's success tore a hole in the Capitol blockade. But the industry was still mocking. Mason can only do this kind of grandstanding novelty song. It can't enter the Hall of Elegance. To slap faces, I needed to drop a nuclear bomb in the professional field. That day, I brought Lily to the company and saw a crying girl in the corner of the lobby. She was very fat, at least 180 pounds, wearing an ill-fitting large t-shirt, hair messy. Daddy, that sister is crying so sadly. Lily tugged my hand. I walked over and handed her a tissue. The girl looked up, eyes swollen like peaches. I recognized her, Bella Banks. She was a trainee in Victoria's company before, excellent vocal conditions. But because she took hormone medication leading to obesity, she was publicly humiliated by Victoria as affecting the city's appearance, fired, and kicked out. Mr. Cole. Bella recognized me, flusteredly trying to stand up, but almost fell because her legs were numb. Want to sing? I asked. Bella froze, then smiled bitterly. I want to sing, but they say I'm a pig, say I don't deserve to stand on stage. Diva Vance said my appearance on camera pollutes the audience's eyes. A trace of cold light flashed in my eyes. Victoria, you really never disappoint. In this world, only souls are divided by beauty and ugliness. Voices aren't. I looked into her eyes. Come upstairs with me. Since the former employer disliked you for being fat, I'll make your fat earth-shattering. I took Bella directly into Elena's office. I want to sign her. Elena looked at Bella, frowning slightly. From a commercial perspective, Bella indeed had no packaging value. Mason, we are an entertainment company, not a charity. Elena said rationally. I know. I slapped a prepared music sheet on the table. This song is called Combustible. Only she can sing it. In the recording studio, Bella stood in front of the microphone, shaking all over. Don't be afraid. I turned on the system, aura, extreme empathy. Think of those people who humiliated you. Think of Victoria's face. Scream out all your grievances, anger, and unwillingness. The intro played, eerie, dark, Gothic-style arrangement instantly grabbing the nerves. Bella closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Want me crazy, still want me to not live alone. Want me cold and glamorous, still want me frivolous and low. Want me sunny, still want me charming without swaying. Play with my crying and laughing, still play with my heart like deadwood. Jaw-dropping opening. That penetrating voice, carrying a trace of neuroticism and violent power, erupted like a long-suppressed volcano. Elena stood up in shock. This wasn't a fat girl's complaint. This was simply a queen's judgment. Grant me dreams, still grant me to wake up soon. Run away with me, still serve me as a loyal subject. Praise me as a budding flower, still praise me for trying to hide. Every lyric was like the loudest slap in the face to this world that looks at faces. On the day of the song's release, it directly parachuted to #1 on major music charts. Hashtag the fat girl abandoned by Victoria is back. Hashtag Bella Banks combustible. Hashtag redefining idol. Hashtag. In the MV, Bella didn't deliberately lose weight. She wore exaggerated dark makeup and a black robe, looking down on all living beings. That powerful aura actually made countless people feel her beauty was thrilling. Victoria's new song happened to be released on the same day. Originally spending millions on promotion, it was rubbed on the ground by Bella's Combustible, not even entering the top 10. When reporters interviewed Victoria, her face was darker than the bottom of a pot. This style is too niche, I won't comment. I replied on Twitter, mass or niche isn't for you to say. Besides, what's wrong with being fat? Did she eat your rice? Cultural export. Successively making a security guard and a fat girl famous. The title of Mason Cole as the star-making godfather was thoroughly established. But Julian was still struggling in his death throes. In an interview, he spoke strangely. Mason is just lucky, taking weird paths. Does he have the ability to make something with true international influence? I heard Ms. Sterling's company is expanding overseas recently. I think it's doubtful. I looked at Julian on TV and couldn't help laughing. International influence? System, bring out that divine song that can rule the square dances of the entire universe. Ding. Exchange successful. Nation's rhythm. Bonus. Full set of square dance teaching videos. Supreme edition. I turned my gaze to Elena. Elena, does our company have a group of retired aunties who dance downstairs when they have nothing to do? Elena trusted me unconditionally now, although the corner of her eye still twitched when she heard I wanted to form an anti-girl group. 1 week later, the Phoenix duo, actually called the Red East, no, let's call them the Golden Girls, officially debuted. The lead singer was the cafeteria lady, and the rap lead was the company's cleaning supervisor. The boundless horizon is my love. Flowers are blooming at the foot of the rolling green hills. What kind of rhythm is the most swinging? What kind of singing is the most joyous, dynamic rhythm? Catchy melody, plus that magical stay shout. This song was like a biological weapon, spreading rapidly. It not only ruled all domestic squares, parks, and basketball courts, but even began to spread overseas. Half a month later, Paris Fashion Week. Victoria, as a so-called domestic fashion darling, was wearing an expensive haute couture gown, striking high-cold poses on the red carpet, preparing to accept photos from foreign media. For this red carpet, she prepared for half a year, determined to outshine everyone. Just as she walked to the center of the red carpet, about to show a toothy smile, suddenly, from the square under the Eiffel Tower not far away, a huge, familiar, desperate bass cannon bombing sound rang out. You are the most beautiful cloud in my sky. Let me keep you here with my heart. It was hundreds of Chinese expat aunties wearing red and green floral jackets, dancing uniformly to the rhythm. The sound was so loud it directly drowned out the background music of the red carpet scene. Victoria's smile froze. Those foreign photographers who were originally taking pictures of her were instantly attracted by this rhythm full of Eastern mysterious power, turning their lenses to frantically snap photos of the aunties. Oh my God, this is amazing! Chinese kung fu dance. Victoria stood alone on the red carpet, like a joke. In the live stream chat, ha ha ha, holy crap. Embarrassing us abroad. Mason is a god. This is cultural export. Calculating the shadow area of Victoria's mind right now. I sat on the sofa at home, watching the live broadcast, saying to Lily, who was rolling with laughter in my arms, "Baby, remember, this is Daddy's gift to that auntie. This is called stealing the show." Acting dual the path of music was thoroughly blocked for Julian. His reputation stank, and no one listened to his songs. But he was unwilling. He turned his sights to the film and television industry. Relying on that plastic face and capital operation, he took on an S-class idol drama, The Domineering Prince Falls for Me, playing the male lead. He posted on Twitter, "Music is just a hobby. Acting is my life. I will prove myself with acting skills." He even specifically tagged me. Some people can only write a few catchy songs, never understanding what performance art is. I looked at my phone and touched my chin. Acting. System. Open film and television module. Ding. Film and television module opened. Recommended script. The Hidden Corner. Role compatibility analysis. Host's current gloomy temperament perfectly matches the male lead, Zhang Dongsheng. Let's call him Daniel Chong. I found Elena. I want to shoot a show. You want to act? Elena was surprised. Idol drama? No. Suspense thriller. I'll direct myself, write it myself, and play the villain myself. Elena looked at the script. Only 12 episodes. Short and concise, but the plot made people's hair stand on end. This show, can it pass censorship? Elena swallow it. Don't worry, I know the limits. Filming started. The character I played, Daniel Chong, was a math teacher who appeared gentle and elegant on the surface, but was dark and twisted inside. Filming the first scene, hiking, I took 2 veteran actors playing my parents-in-law to the top of the mountain. I wore a white shirt, gold-rimmed glasses, smiling as I helped the 2 elders pose for photos. "Dad, Mom, look, do I still have a shot?" I asked softly. Those 2 veteran actors were battle-hardened, but at this moment, looking into the emotionless dead fish eyes behind my lenses, they actually felt a chill rush from the soles of their feet to the top of their skulls. Cut! Until I yelled stop. Those 2 teachers hadn't recovered. Director Cole, that look just now was too scary. The veteran actor wiped cold sweat. "I really thought you were going to push me off." I smiled and returned to normal. "That's acting, sir." At the same time, Julian's crew was filming next door. He was acting a crying scene. "Boo-hoo! Why do you have to leave me?" Julian squeezed his eyes, but couldn't squeeze out a single tear, finally relying on eye drops. His acting was so exaggerated that even the director couldn't stand it, but, due to capital, could only bite the bullet and yell pass. Both shows were scheduled to air on the same day. Julian announced loudly at the press conference, "Someone's web series. The investment isn't even as high as my salary, just playing around. Everyone should support orthodox, big productions." Birth of a Godly Show premiere day. Julian's Domineering Prince premiered with seemingly good ratings, all fans botting data. But within half an hour, word of mouth collapsed. What the hell is this acting? Facial paralysis? These special effects were made for 5 cents, right? Julian's face is as stiff as if he injected 2 pounds of Botox. Dropped it. And the hidden corner quietly went online on the video site. Episode 1 opening. Daniel Chong takes his in-laws hiking. Look, do I still have a shot? Next second, without any warning, I shoved hard. The 2 old people screamed and fell off the cliff. Every viewer in front of the screen instantly had their scalps explode. Hashtag Daniel Chong hiking, hashtag do I still have a shot, hashtag the white boat song, hashtag. These 3 tags occupied the top 3 trending searches with terrifying speed. Originally only hundreds of thousands of views, it skyrocketed to tens of millions overnight. The IMDb/Dubon score opened at 9.2, later rising to 9.5, while Julian's drama dropped directly to 2.8. Mom asked me why I'm watching the show on my knees, because I'm afraid Mason will push me off. Mason's acting is insane. That look is going to give me nightmares. This is a godly show. Julian's trash is simply insulting my intelligence. That night, I was in Elena's apartment watching the show with her. Seeing the scene where Daniel Chong takes off his wig in the bathroom to reveal a bald head, makeup effect, of course, Elena screamed in fright and drilled directly into my arms. Mason, you pervert. Why act so scary? She hammered my chest, but couldn't bear to leave. I smoothly wrapped my arm around her shoulder, feeling the warmth and fragrance in my arms. That's acting. The real me has plenty of hair. I laughed softly. On the sofa nearby, Lily was covered with a small blanket, eyes narrowed into a slit, secretly watching us. Daddy, Auntie Elena, are you playing huggy? Elena's face turned red instantly, hurriedly trying to sit up, but I held her down. Lily, if Auntie Elena becomes your mommy, would you be willing? I asked. Lily instantly opened her eyes wide, jumping up from the sofa. Willing. Auntie Elena makes the best sweet and sour ribs. 10,000 times better than that bad woman who only orders takeout. Elena looked at Lily's expectant eyes, then at my deep gaze. Finally, she buried her head in my chest and hummed softly, MH. Outside the window, the moonlight was just right. But at the other end of the city, Julian looked at the horrible ratings and the screen full of curses completely breaking down. He knew his road in the entertainment industry was broken, but the resentment in his eyes grew deeper. Mason, since I can't live well, don't you think about living well either? He picked up his phone and dialed an overseas number. Hello, set up a trap for me. I want him in jail. Conspiracy revealed. The tree wants peace, but the wind does not stop. Just as my relationship with Elena heated up and we prepared to give Lily a complete family, a carefully planned public opinion storm erupted without warning late at night. At first, it was just revelations from a few marketing accounts, then bots swarmed like locusts, instantly swallowing major social platforms. Hashtag Mason Cole suspected huge tax evasion. Hashtag Mason uses daughter to mass wealth. Hashtag Elena Sterling sugar mommy confirmed. Hashtag every trending search was followed by a shocking, explosive tag. Julian went all in this time. Not only did he forge so-called tax loophole evidence, but he also hired people to edit malicious videos, pairing footage of Lily laughing happily on the show with horror music, slandering me for abusing and threatening her in private to make the child cooperate. Even more disgusting was the dirty water thrown at Elena. They photoshopped rumors saying Sterling Entertainment rose to the top through the casting couch, and I was her latest boy toy. Late at night, the Sterling Entertainment conference room was brightly lit. The PR director was sweating profusely. Mr. Cole, Ms. Sterling, the opposition is coming too hard this time, and the source is from overseas servers, hard to delete posts. The whole internet is cursing now. Many sponsors have called requesting contract termination. Elena's face was pale. She wasn't afraid of being scolded herself, but she looked at me like she was looking at her weak spot. Mason, how about sending Lily abroad to hide from the storm first? The paparazzi are already blocking the kindergarten entrance. I looked at the flashing lights outside the window, the chill in my eyes piercing deeper than the winter wind. Touch me fine. Touch my woman. Touch my daughter. You have a death wish. No need. I pressed Elena's trembling hand, my voice terribly calm. Elena, do you trust me? Elena looked into my eyes. There was no panic inside, only a calmness that made one's heart palpitate. She took a deep breath and nodded. I trust you. Good. I turned to the PR director. Don't withdraw the trending topics, and don't issue lawyer letters. Prepare a live broadcast for me, synchronized across the entire network. Live broadcast? Now. The director was stunned. Isn't broadcasting now walking right into the muzzle? Netizens will spray you to death. I want them to come. A cruel arc curved my lips. Only when everyone is here can we catch them all in one net. At this moment, the system notification tone rang coldly in my mind. Ding. Detected host facing malicious smearing. Hidden mission triggered. Time of reckoning. System item store opened. Hacker mastery, God level. All-seeing eye can collect all criminal evidence of target. Truth aura, group version. Julian, since you want to play big, I'll make you lose until you don't even have underwear left. Livestream counterattack. The next night at 8 o'clock. My personal livestream room open on time. The title was simple, just 3 words. Let's talk past. Within a minute of starting, the number of online viewers broke 50 million. The server almost died on the spot. The barrage was densely packed, all curses. Tax evasion rat, get out of the entertainment industry. Treating your daughter as a cash cow. Are you even human? Moocher, explain your dirty business with that female CEO. I sat in front of the camera, wearing a simple white shirt, even having the leisure to brew a pot of tea. Good evening, everyone. I blew on the tea foam. Tired of cursing? Drink some water and rest. This cloud-light, wind-light attitude made the haters even crazier. At the other end of the screen, Julian was holding a wine glass, watching the live broadcast and sneering. Keep acting, Mason. I've made the evidence chain. I'm going to make you sit in prison until the floor wears through. Beside him, Victoria, who had long been estranged from him, was uneasy. Julian, will something really happen? Mason is a bit weird. Fear what? Julian's face was ferocious. He's just a grasshopper after autumn. Back in the live stream room, I put down the teacup, looked at the lens, my eyes gradually becoming sharp. Regarding tax evasion, I snapped my fingers. The huge screen behind me suddenly lit up. It didn't show a normal Excel spreadsheet, but directly connected to the IRS system's tax payment certificate interface. Of course, this was a legal display achieved by system hacking technology with key privacy codes masked. This is every income and tax record since my debut. Even the $5,000 I made busking on the street, I declared personal income tax. I sneered. Not only that, I also helped a certain top stream check his taxes. The screen changed. A shocking list of Enyong contracts appeared on the screen. Client, Julian Thorne. Amount, 150 million. Great talent, Thorne. This 150 million fee. Why did you only declare 10 million? 10 million. The whole internet was in an uproar. The barrage stopped for a second, then the wind direction began to change. Holy crap, is this real? This looks like the tax system backend interface. Can't Photoshop that. Julian, tax evasion? Don't rush, this is just the appetizer. I took out a trust fund document and showed it to the camera. Regarding me using my daughter to amass wealth. All of Lily's participation fees and endorsement fees went into this charitable trust supervised by a third party. Before she turns 18, this money is mainly used to support poor children in mountain areas. I, Mason Cole, haven't touched a cent. As for abuse, I waved to the door. Lily ran and hugging her bunny plushie, diving directly into my arms, and made a funny face at the camera. Blah. Those bad uncles are the ones abusing me. Daddy is the best daddy in the world. Whoever scolds daddy is a big stupid pig. Rumors self-destructed. Truth revealed. Clarification is just defense. The current me wanted to attack. All right, my business is done. Now let's talk about Mr. Julian Thorne. I revealed a smile to the camera that made everyone feel a chill down their spine. Julian, you're watching, right? Don't turn it off. The good part is coming. I took a voice recorder out of the drawer. Everyone has always been curious about what happened the day Victoria and I divorced. I'm also curious about how Julian's so-called genius voice actually works. Press play. The recording, repaired by the system God-level sound quality, spread clearly across the internet. Julian's voice. Hurry up and get lost, loser. I want your song and your wife. I've been lusting after Victoria for years. That woman has a killer body. The whole internet exploded. WTF? That's Julian? That is too disgusting. Stealing a bro's wife to his face and being so arrogant. Is Victoria blind? Victoria, in front of the screen, heard this recording, and the glass in her hand slipped again. Although she heard it that day, being humiliated in front of the whole internet again made her face burn with pain, like being slapped hundreds of times. Julian had panicked now. He called his assistant like crazy. Cut his feed. Fast. Cut the power. Unfortunately, with the system escorting, even pulling the network, cable wouldn't stop this broadcast from drifting into everyone's phone via Wi-Fi signals. There's something even more interesting. In the live stream room, I invited a mystery guest. A man wearing a hat and mask walked in. It was Julian's exclusive sound engineer, Mikey. Mikey, show everyone Teacher Thorne's true strength. Mikey tremblingly took out a USB drive and plugged it into the computer. This is the drive vocal, unedited original, from the recording of Fleeing Time. Click play. A sound like a pig being slaughtered, off-key to Grandma's house, voice cracking to the sky, rang through the live stream room. Falling in love with you, voice crack. Is my rooster crowing, fleeting time like being strangled. Puffed, ha 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 ha. Help! My ears had a miscarriage. This is the returning genius? This is the music top stream? My dog barks with more rhythm than this. Julian looked at the screen, full of ridicule, nearly spitting a mouthful of blood. It was over. His persona in the music industry had completely collapsed. Legal sanctions. Julian, you think this is the end? I put away my smile, my face becoming extremely serious, even carrying a trace of murderous intent. If plagiarism, lip-syncing, and chaotic private life are just moral issues, then the next thing is a legal issue. System, play that video. The big screen went black, then a dimly lit private room scene appeared. Although the light was bad, one could clearly see Julian slumped on the sofa, looking dazed, with white powder on his nose. Around him was a group of men and women equally out of it. This was Julian's party at his private villa last Friday. My voice was icy. Julian, need me to call the cops for you? Or are they already on the way? The livestream room boiled over completely. This wasn't a collapse. This was ruins. This was sending him straight to so close, prison. At the same time, outside Julian's mansion, sirens blared. I used the system hacker tech to cut into the surveillance feed at Julian's villa gate and broadcasted it picture-in-picture. In the footage, a dozen fully armed SWAT officers broke down the door. Julian was holding his phone watching the stream. The moment he saw the police rush in, he went completely limp, but he was still struggling. While being pressed to the ground, he still screamed hysterically, I am Julian. I'm a top stream. I have tens of millions of fans. You can't arrest me. This is Mason framing me. That's Flower. It's Flower. Watching the scene, I said lightly, System, send him a gift. Ding. Used item, bad luck sticker. The moment Julian was escorted onto the police car, his expensive custom trousers somehow suddenly split open. Riot. Then his foot slipped, and he fell face first into a mud puddle in front of the police car, eating dirt. When he looked up again, face covered in filth, where was the look of a noble son? The whole internet roared with laughter, followed by countless satisfying comments. Heaven has a cycle. Who does the sky spare? I said slowly to the camera. Julian, although the food in prison isn't Michelin star, it's definitely filling. Reform well, strive to be a good person in your next life. After speaking, I cut the broadcast directly. Diva false. Julian went in. Multiple crimes, substance abuse, massive tax evasion, instigating defamation. 10 years minimum. His life was over. With the collapse of the Julian skyscraper, Victoria, as a community of interest, also welcomed her doomsday. The tax bureau followed the vine and found that the company under Victoria's name also had serious yin-yang contract issues. Overnight, the diva fell from the altar. Brands terminated contracts one after another, huge liquidated damages crushing her breathless. Her mansion and luxury cars were forcibly seized and auctioned by the court. The once high and mighty, arrogant Victoria Vance had become penniless. 1 month later, the deep autumn in Los Angeles, the wind bleak. On the giant LED screen under the Sterling Entertainment Building, good news was playing. In the picture, Elena and I had our fingers interlaced, Lily standing in the middle, smiling incredibly brightly. Famous musician Mason Cole and Sterling president Elena Sterling engaged today. In a corner of the street, a woman wearing a cheap coat, hair messy, stared blankly at that screen. It was Victoria. She was thin to the bone, eyes hollow, holding a crumpled photo tightly in her hand, a photo of her and Mason back then. Why? She muttered to herself, tears flowing uncontrollably. Clearly all this originally belonged to me. She regretted it, really regretted it. If she hadn't been blinded by fame and wealth back then, if she had cherished the man who cooked noodles for her late at night, the woman smiling most happily on the screen now should be her. She wanted to rush in, wanted to see Mason once, even if it meant kneeling to beg for his forgiveness. "What are you doing? Move along, move along." The security guard, Old Joe, at the entrance of Sterling Entertainment, stopped her. Old Joe was a celebrity now too, but he still liked being a guard. He squinted at Victoria, not recognizing this was the former diva, just treating her as a crazy woman. "There's a celebration going on here. Idlers don't cause trouble." Old Joe waved his hand. I am Victoria Vance. I am Mason's ex-wife." "What? Ex-wife?" Old Joe laughed, pointing around. "Miss, the line of people coming to impersonate Mr. Cole's ex-girlfriend these days could stretch to France. Your script is outdated. Go away quickly. Don't force me to dance to chase you away." Victoria was shoved, staggering back to the curb. The cold wind rolled up the fallen leaves on the ground. On the big screen, Mason's singing sounded. It was the new song he wrote for Elena. "Once is enough. Once is enough. I'll take you to see the end of time." Warm, affectionate. Victoria squatted on the street corner, hugging her knees, cry like a child abandoned by the whole world in the bustling city. No one sympathized. Wedding preparations Julian went in to sew clothes. Victoria was cold. The whole entertainment industry seemed to have gone through a big shuffle. The air became much fresher. Without those flies and mosquitoes buzzing, I could finally focus on a big event, getting married. Although Elena and I were engaged, I owed her a wedding. A wedding that would make women all over the world jealous. Sterling Entertainment CEO office. Elena looked at the guest list I drafted, the corners of her mouth twitching uncontrollably. "Mason, are you sure you want to send this list out? Any problems?" I asked casually while feeding Lily ice cream. "Look at this column." Elena pointed to the VIP seats. Old Joe, security captain, Auntie Lou, cleaning supervisor, and square dance leader Annie Jean. "You put them in the first row? Ahead of those A-list stars?" "Of course. I was righteous. Old Joe is my first disciple. Annie Lou is my rap lead. Without them, there would be no Mason Cole today. This is prestige." Elena rubbed her forehead helplessly, but her eyes were full of smiles. "Fine, as long as you're happy. It's you who's embarrassed anyway." "Daddy, I want to sit in the first row too." Lily raised her cream-covered small hand to protest. "You don't need to sit." I pinched her cheek. "You're the flower girl. You're responsible for bringing Daddy and Mommy the rings. If you lose them, I'll confiscate your bunny." "Oomph. Bad Daddy." The wedding location was set in Bali. Not that I worship foreign things, mainly Elena liked the sea there. For this wedding, I not only booked the entire island, but also used the system's God-level stage design to arrange the scene into a real fairy tale world. Of course, Elena paid for it. After all, I was now a veritable king of moochers. I ate this soft rice with peace of mind, even a little pride. Fairy tale wedding day of the wedding. Global live broadcast. This was a first for the entertainment industry. Before, stars hid their marriages, afraid fans would leave. I was different. I couldn't wait for the whole world to come see how beautiful my wife was. Blue sky, white clouds, turquoise sea. The sides of the aisle were covered with champagne, roses flown in. When the classic wedding march played, all guests held their breath. But the style suddenly changed. The symphony orchestra that should have been wearing tuxedos didn't appear. Replacing them was a team wearing red and green floral jackets, my square dance heaven squad. Annie Jean gave a command. Drums and gongs roared. The hundreds of millions of viewers in the live stream almost threw their phones. Holy crap, is this God, Mason's wedding? Too down to earth. Are they going to dance Nation's rhythm for the opening? Haha, look at the confused expressions of those invited Hollywood superstars. Just when everyone thought I was going to turn the wedding into a country stage, the music changed again. Gentle piano sound flowed out. Elena took her father's arm and appeared at the end of the aisle. She wore a wedding dress I designed personally. Actually, system blueprint, the skirt embedded with 999 tiny diamonds, shining like the galaxy under the sun. At that moment, all noise disappeared. Beautiful. Beautiful to the point of suffocation. Even the system, which loved to roast usually, couldn't help popping a notification. Ding. Detected host heart rate exceeding 180. Suggest using quick-acting heart pills. Also, the bride is really pretty. You earned big on this soft rice. Lily wore a pink dress, walking in front scattering petals like a little angel. While scattering, She muttered softly, "These petals are so expensive. Can I pick them up to take a bath?" Worthy of my daughter, possessing the habit of thriftiness from a young age. Farewell to the stage vow exchange. The priest asked, "Mr. Cole, do you dull?" I answered before the priest finished, causing a burst of laughter from the audience. The priest wiped his sweat awkwardly and looked at Elena. Elena looked at me, tears in her eyes, nodding firmly. I do too. After exchanging rings, according to the process, the groom had to show a talent. I sat at the piano. The sea breeze messed up my hair. I looked at Elena and also at the camera. This song is called Once Is Enough, for my wife and for everyone who believes in love. Fingertips fell, the piano sound melodious. Want to see you smile? Want to play with you? Want to hold